when it comes to being a game master, you get a lot of ideas that you're going to pitch, to make an adventure, make a campaign, backstory, ideas with the characters. But you get into it, you go on the adventure, and barely anything related to the stuff that you made up is really being played out. Maybe you're missing something. You're doing the adventuring, but you're forgetting that there's a bit more life into a role-playing game than just playing it like a video game, where there should be some casual time or time to really explore, say, the town or place, so people can interact with people that will talk about the issue, bring up the thing. Maybe there's an essence of it, like some type of feeling going on around the place, and you get to communicate this, and through that, it becomes a way of bringing these things to life, where you're not just jumping in with all these cool ideas, but then you're really not, like, there's nothing in the game that really plays to it. You just simply put the characters onto the adventure, they go, that's it. Lucky if they really, really get to explore some of the other parts that you sort of thought up and pitched at them before they got into the game. Players need time, especially early, to really develop the character, and you want that done as early as possible. You want as many sources towards that as you can. And simple interaction with non-player characters, doing dialogue, even with the other player characters, as much of that as they can do early on allows them to really develop the character, and the more they can do that before they're on to the adventure, on to the action or what have you, it's better for the game overall, because at the end of the day, here's what really brings a player back to the table. This is my theory, this is what I believe from my experience. Once a player develops a character to a point that they can care about the character, they will simply care what happens next. And I guarantee that's what brings them back to the table. As long as you have a consistent game, I would say at least one session a week, so there's not a big gap where people are forgetting what's going on. You don't want that. One session a week at the very least, and then make sure the player has time to really develop the character early. And, talk to the players about really focusing on taking advantage of all the early interaction as a way of developing the character as early as they possibly can, so they have an idea of who the character is and what path the character might be on, because no matter what ideas a player has before the game starts, you really never know how it's going to feel outright. They can come in telling you this, that, and the other thing, then they get in, they play it, and just, there's a different feel, there's a different direction. Next thing you know, you're going somewhere else. There is a value to being patient as a game master and not just wanting to jump to the action or, jump to that adventure thing. It's just let things play out sometimes. You don't want things to get boring. You don't want things to die down. You want to be able to move from scene to scene or hint, hey, are you guys done talking here? Let's move to the next place, because you don't want that to die down. But really, you should let things go at the pace they're going to go. As long as players are going to interact and take advantage, you allow some things to happen. Now, of course, you don't stay in the town forever with the player characters and do none of that. There's a balance to all of this. And you really got to find that. It's hard for me to tell you how much time exactly, because it's something you feel out. And you'll know what I mean as you get more experience as a game master. A lot of this is, it's not about how long you spend in a place. It's about how does it feel. And there's a lot of nuance into deciding when to move on to the next thing, because you want to go with the flow when the flow is there. And what do I mean flow? Like, players are talking with their characters. Every player is interacting. Everyone's having fun. Like, if the scene looks lively and it looks like players have more to say, you gotta let things play out instead of cutting that off. What you're really looking to do is, anytime there's, that dull in the conversation, or things aren't going anywhere, or people seem like they're done talking at that scene for sure, even if one player's lingering on, you give the hint, okay, I'm going to move on. Is there anything else you have to say? And you let players finish up whatever they want to do, and then you get to the next thing, right? But again, it's all about feeling it out. And at the end of the day, you won't find this hard, because you'll get what I mean when you start game mastering. It's common sense. It really is. Just trust your instincts on what you're watching and what you're feeling. If things are going, let them go. Remember, here's the thing you got to know. No matter what the game rules say, no matter what anything says, the illusion of the experience being good and feeling real to the players is all that matters. It doesn't matter how the rules are written down. It doesn't matter all that. It's just when they play that C note, do they feel like they're doing the thing or using the thing or having fun in that way? Do they feel the pace matches something that they were relate to in real life, right? Like, the more of that illusion you can create for your players in that field, that is what creates a great experience. So never be too technical as a game master. Like, you want to look at things like what is creating the feel to the game that you want. Game mastering, no matter what they tell you about the game master might be running, a good portion of game mastering is common sense, instinct, and all these things are used to run any game in the tabletop role-playing game hobby. So yes, there is common practices from the storyteller to the game master to the dungeon master that they're all going to do very similar things. Yeah, with different rule sets, of course, but the different rule sets do not stop you from needing to read the room, in a very similar way from one position to another. It won't matter if you're the storyteller in a vampire game or, a dungeon master in the Dungeons and Dragons game. There'll be very similar things both people will be doing. And a lot of it's just not in the books. They don't drill this stuff at you to make sure to give time to things. They don't tell you little things like that. It's your common sense has to figure it out. For some people, realizing they should put focus on certain areas or really develop something, it could take you 10 years to really, know you got to do that more consistently. So maybe if you run into this video, I can speed you up by a decade and get you to where you need to be as a game master. Alright, for now, take care. Also, like, subscribe, press the bell button so you get notifications.